Okay, I'm often asked, how did Yuri Verkhoshansky influence me in my work? Many people have a concept that I've only been a translator of his work, but I've gone beyond that. I have taken his work and incorporated it into the work that I was doing, both when I was teaching at the university and working with many different athletes to improve their performance. But I didn't just use Verkhoshansky's work. I used that as a basis for creating even new and better exercises. Like if you have a copy of his latest book, the Specialized Strength Training Manual for Coaches. Here he brings out many exercises that he was doing. One of them, for example, to develop the hip flexors as needed in sprinting. He has the person with one leg on a horse and then another leg down with weights on it, weights around the ankle. Then he would drive the knee up, and you're basically kind of horizontal to develop this action. Well, I saw this when I was with him in the Soviet Union, and he showed me all of the exercise that he was doing. So one thing that's I should bring out maybe to explain this. See, at that time, back in the 80s and even in the 90s, the equipment used in the Soviet Union was, to put it bluntly, quite terrible. They were way behind. Their technology, see, they had the greatest technology to come up with these ideas, but they didn't have the support base of the manufacturing to carry out the ideas on a massive scale. See, this is where the United States excels. In fact, we excel too well in it. We can come out with a lot of junk too. But there they had a lot of great exercises, but it was very cumbersome to execute them. So with these exercises, I tried them all, and I came back to the United States and I tried to duplicate them, and it was just too cumbersome. So this is where one of the reasons why I developed my active chords. See, now I was capable of duplicating some of the same exercises as he did, but with greater ease and even more effectiveness. So I've taken many of the great ideas and exercises that he developed, and then improved upon them and perfected them to make them even more effective. So many of these exercises, when you take a look at the book and then compare them, let's say, to the exercise I have in explosive running, you'll see how we're both doing the same thing. It's the same joint actions, but it's so much easier and more effective to do them with the active chords and the way I have them described. But yet we have to give him credit for coming up with these original concepts. This is where you can't beat this. And this whole concept of specialized exercises. See, he was one of the first ones to really exploit this area. Many Russian coaches were involved in this. He was not unique in this. Many coaches were doing it. But the concept of coupling strength with technique, this was the basis for specialized exercises. And I guess I was not lucky, but fortuitous, if you want, where I had have the biomechanical background, where I analyzed technique. And I've been looking at technique for well over 40, 50 years now, and analyzing via frame by frame. This is one of the main things that I taught at the university at Fullerton when I was there. So we looked at technique. I've been looking at technique all the time. So I knew my biomechanics. I knew the biomechanics of technique. And a technique involved in different sports skills. And running was one of my main sports that I always looked at. So by knowing the mechanics of what's involved in running, and then having a strong background in exercise, I was able to take the concept of applying or converting or creating an exercise to the movements seen in running or some other skill. And this is what, as the Russians found back in the 80s when they switched their training program. See, up until the 80s, they were looking at increasing volume all the time. But rather than increasing volume, they said, hey, we can't go any further. We're already maxing out, and we're killing these guys. We're just going too long. You can't train 12 hours a day. So that's when I switched from the volume and looked more closely at specialized exercises. And then they had a boom in improvement of athletic performance. Specialized exercises are dynamite because they give you immediate results, direct results to improve your game performance. It's not like just getting fit, so you can do exercises to get stronger and you can do umpteen zillion squats and so on. But that doesn't translate to being a better athlete on the field. But if you do a specialized exercise, you're a better athlete on the field. That's the key. So, from the initial work by Verkhoshansky, I improved upon it, perfected it, and this is what I wrote up in all of my books. These are all specialized exercises that duplicate exactly what happens in execution of the skills involved in that sport. So you're developing strength exactly the way it's used in execution of that skill. So to me, this is one of the greatest contributions that I got from Verkhoshansky. See, but he never really exploited it to the nth degree. And maybe because of equipment and the breakup of the Soviet Union, we can come up with many reasons for this. But regardless, we have the capability here, and this is what I did to exploit this one concept. And also the concept of explosive power, to develop greater explosiveness, which involves the stretch shortening reflex. This whole concept. So that was the basis for many of the explosive exercises that I developed. So here again, this is what I kind of recommend to most coaches. Use the information that they present and then incorporate it into your training. And to give you a good start, you can take a look at some of the techniques that Verkhoshansky used, as well as some of the techniques that I use in the books. And then you'll see great performance, great improvement in your athlete's performance. This is the beauty of using some of this material to improve the athlete. That's the key.